Hi there, this is Tom, bringing you another daily walk from ourwalkinchrist.com. So, today I want to talk a little bit about politics. That's right, politics on a religious channel. This could get controversial. But really the reason I want to discuss politics actually comes down to, not too long ago I was chatting with a young man who used to be a part of a church and raised in a church. And one of the things he said to me, and by the way, this young man is also very interested in politics these days as a college student. And he said, one of the really important reasons, not the only, but one of the important reasons why I stopped believing in the things that the church said is because the church tended to have this idea that you had to be this conservative Republican to be a Christian. And combine that with the intriguing concept, this expression, I think I have it right. The expression said, if you are young and you're not Democratic, you have no heart. And if you are old and you are not Republican, you have no mind or no brain or something like that. Ultimately, though, this bears its significance because Christianity is not religious, is not political at all. And that's, that really is an immutable fact. In fact, there were several different political factions at the time, particularly in Corinth, when Paul writes his letter to the Corinthians. And he actually writes that, Christ is neither Greek nor Jew, neither male nor female. And in 1 Corinthians, he actually discusses several other, somewhat quasi-religious or political types groups at that time. And the ultimate thing to behold in that setting is that Christianity is not political. It's not factional. It's not any of that. We have to, as Christians, we really have to follow Jesus Christ. Not a political view, not even a religious view. In fact, I'm not a big fan of this thing frequently called churchianity. Of course, churchianity is this view where you're raised not with what the Bible teaches, but really what church tradition teaches. You find this in deep denominationalism. Well, I'm a Baptist because I was raised in a Baptist church, and that's all I've ever gone to is a Baptist church. Well, not a real good view, not a real good way to take your political view or your denominational view. But the flip side of the coin, I've also met many people who kind of jump faiths, maybe jump denominations, maybe jump faiths merely because, and I'm not sure that's a real good viewpoint either. Ultimately, we have to follow Christ. Regardless of what the politics say, regardless of, what the church says, we have to follow Christ because there are definitely times that I agree that the church really does seem to teach that you really got to be of a certain political view. And if you're not of this political view, then whatever. In fact, I knew one guy who got back from let's see, I've done a lot of Toys for Tots things. This was just a local church community giving food and presents to the poor. And he came back from that and he says, I felt like a Democrat. Of course, that was a very derisive argument from him. He's not big into the handouts. But I want to submit to you today that Christianity really takes the best of both of the two-party system that we have in America right now and combines them together. So you do not have to be a Republican and you do not have to be a Democrat. And the churches that seem to push that view, well, those churches are actually in the wrong. Particularly, I see on Facebook a lot, and I'm not even on Facebook much at all anyway, but I see on Facebook a lot, I see people who are deeply criticizing our president, or presidential candidates. And it seems to be more based on their politics than it is anything else. We have to remember this ultimately. In the Bible, we are to pray for our leaders. And I don't care what party they're in. I don't care what stupid stuff they've done. Because, as Paul writes that we have to pray for our leaders. He actually wrote that. In the context when Nero was the emperor. He writes to pray for your government, pray for your leaders, pray for them, submit to their authority. Okay, this was a guy who was using the Christians to light his garden at night. And I don't care what viewpoint you have of Obama or of the Clintons or of the Bushes, I got news for you. None of them have yet started crucifying Christians in their gardens at night, burning them to light the way. All right, come on. Let's get over this petty stuff on politics. And instead, we should really return back to the fundamental roots. You pray for your leaders, whoever they are, whether you agree with them or whether you disagree with them. Because here's another fun aspect of that verse. We are called to pray and to submit to their ruling authority. And that was at a time when there was really not much due process. There was a little bit of due process, but not much. But there was no way to challenge the laws. There was no way to change the laws. None of that. None of that at all. Okay? But we are in a world now. Where, in our country, in America at least, there is a process by which we can, quote, civilly disobey, meaning that we can get to a point in a way where we are allowed to challenge the laws in this country. And those laws are constantly being challenged. Many years back, of course, homosexuality was illegal. Now, as I am saying this, homosexuality is not only legal, but constitutionally protected. Now, whether you agree with that or not, in fact, as a Christian, I would say, I'm not sure about the constitutional land, but from the biblical perspective, it certainly is sin. However, we're not to condemn or criticize any politician who holds to that view, because we are called to pray for our leaders. And that's exactly what we need to do. We need to pray for our leaders. So I'm going to leave that with you today. This has been Tom with A Daily Walk, ourwalkinchrist.com.